What is up, guys? McIntyre here. I'm going to quickly come out with a new video for the Alarak release patch. These are going to be my first kind of thoughts on the patch, where I think heroes are at. Obviously, this will change by the end of probably next week. I'll probably put out a new video, but these are just speculations on just looking at the things that have been changed about heroes, where I think heroes are at now after these changes. So just to start off, the very first change that I'm going to talk about is Zagara. I'm bringing her down from S tier to tier 1. I just think after this balance to her damage, her pushing is gonna be a lot weaker than it originally was. She can maybe get punished in lane now that her damage isn't as crazy. She can't just push a lane now and rotate, but I still think that, like, with Nidus Worm on certain maps, the utility that she brings and like even the vision from her creep will still keep her at a very high tier 1, but I don't think that she'll be as powerful and just controlling and dominant over the meta as she was the previous patch. So I'm really happy about this change that Blizzard made. The next I'm going to look at on my tier 1s are my warriors. So Muradin, I want to say, is still going to be dominant. I believe even with the change to his level 1 talent, it's going to open up the region talent for him at level 1, which is going to make his sustain even crazier than it already is. A lot of people don't even utilize this passive, but if you take a lot of damage on Muradin and just mount up, get away, and then stand still for 5 seconds, as long as you're not taking damage, you get actually a great amount of regen. But with this talent, you're going to get even more. You'll probably be back to full health in no more than 4 to 5 seconds. So this is going to be insane. You still will get a little mini reverb, 25% instead of 50, and you still will get that crazy sustain from the double clap, healing clap at 13 with the 4 talent. So I still think Muradin will dominate the meta, but I don't think that these changes are just going to crush this hero. So he's still going to be the top of the tier 1. Another new tier 1 warrior is actually going to be Joanna, and this is going to be because of the Knight Take Pawn being base. I know that this talent will no longer stun the minions, which is kind of a big deal, but if you pull the minions in and deal damage to them, normally you get followed up by some other sort of damage, and you just one-shot the wave anyways, so the stun doesn't really matter. And what it does open up for you is level 1 block. I think this talent is going to be insane against certain compositions like Greymanes and Thralls. Even Illidan. These heroes are going to have a terrible time against Joanna if she takes the level 1 block talent with like battle momentum at level 7, right? They won't ever be able to deal damage to her, as she can have block charges up every time she has an ability. And for that reason, I want to bring her up to tier 1. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I'm just speculating on it. I think we'll see a lot more of her in the future of this patch. So looking at our assassins next, I want to talk about Falstad, as I do have him as the highest tier 1 assassin. Don't think they changed him enough. We probably will see his lightning rod build a little bit more now with the addition to that new level 1 talent that he got, the bribe lightning rod talent. So you might see some different variations of Falstad, but I still think that he'll still be this global pressure, gust, disengage, engage guy that we've always known. So I'm going to keep him at tier 1. Nothing else. The other addition to tier 1 is going to be Butcher, and this is obviously really speculating here. I don't know if the buff was enough, but I know that the numbers are probably there. And I put him as a tier 1 because if you do get the stacks, and if you have some sort of enabler, he is incredibly powerful. But both of those clauses have to be true in order for him to be a tier 1. Problem that Butcher is going to have is he can get kited very easily. So we'll see if it's a bad decision here. I might move him down to tier 2 by next week, but I'm going to put him at the lowest of tier 1 for now, as I do think that once the stacks are going and you have your 125 meat, you become insane damage and just a powerhouse. I think that the kind of meta will figure Butcher out eventually, and he will see some action in a competitive or even hero league scene. The next is going to be this is kind of a new one for me, but I've kind of felt this way for a while now. I'm going to put Hammer at the top of tier 1 for specialist with the nerf to mount speeds. I think that rotating on Hammer is going to be a bit easier. Not as, it's not going to be crazy, but if you take the level 7 Z talent on Hammer, you'll be able to get around the map actually pretty quickly and keep up with the slowed down mounts. So this is why I'm putting Hammer at tier 1. With the nerf to Zagara 2, Hammer is going to have about equal siege, but a little more damage. So moving her up to tier 1, I think I like her there right now. Sylvanas and Zagara are still there, gonna be there as well. The other addition to tier 1 now is going to be Brightwing. The same sort of idea behind the Hammer. With the reduced to mount speed, I think Brightwing's global is going to be something that teams start to utilize. Because teams can't rotate as quickly, Brightwing being able to just Z to a team fight is going to be important, potentially. It could save you 3 to 4 seconds on rotation, where other heroes are going to, be slower to rotate. So this is another speculation. Nothing's really changed about Brightwing, but the one thing too is just I think that with the meta is going to kind of slow down maybe a little bit. It's going to become more map oriented, maybe not so much all in. And if Butcher does become an issue, Brightwing is a great answer to him. So putting her at tier 1 for now. So we're going to look at the tier 2s. The newest addition to tier 2, I think, is going to be Alarak. I have him kind of in the middle of the pack. He could be higher than that. I think that he's actually really good and will have a lot of success in Hero League because his ability to kind of deathball and find picks is there. And because picks are so important in Hero League and just killing one person is so important, I think Alarak is going to be a pick that you can look into if your team has the right follow-up for him. So I have him at tier 2. A lot of people think that he's really bad, but I'm actually having a lot of success with him. So it's really hard for me to say. We'll have to see how that one pans out. The other new addition to tier 2 is going to be at the highest point. It's going to be Vala. So after trying out this new multi-shot build on Vala, she may even be a tier 1 assassin. I'm not super certain yet, but I do know that her late game is very powerful, and a good Reign of Vengeance can win you a team fight. So she might be where she needs to be at. If they change her hatred up a little bit more, she could be even more powerful. So I think Vala's in a place right now where if Blizzard puts more onto her, it'll push her to tier 1. And if they take some away from her, it'll push her to tier 3. But I think she's a solid tier 2 right now. Feels pretty good to play, and I think we'll have a good spot in this meta. The next hero that I've brought down to tier 2 is going to be Kerrigan. I had her at tier 1, but I think with the Butcher resurgence and the Joanna and even the Brightwing, Kerrigan's going to have a harder time this patch. So I just have her down a little bit. I still think that she's going to be powerful, and because Relentless Leader has gotten taken away, some heroes are going to have a harder time dealing with her, but I'm going to put her at tier 2 for now. Next tier 2 addition is going to be Medic. So Medic has just a quality of life change where she can reactivate her grenade once she shot it to blow it up. And this is a really good mechanic, I think, and could potentially push Medic to tier 1. I'm not sure on it just yet. I need to see her in action a little bit more, but for now, I'm going to have her at tier 2 from tier 3. I think being able to reactivate the grenade with the extra knockback is going to find a lot of picks for your team, and it's going to zone people off of bosses and whatnot. Then the other thing that I moved out of tier 2 is actually going to be Monk. So I moved Monk down to tier 3. Because of the removal of Relentless Leader, I think Monk is way weaker now. He used to be able to step up and punch kind of to heal, and if the other team went on him, Relentless Leader was going to protect you from that CC chain. But now that he no longer has that and only has a damage reduction to basic auto attacks, that means if the other team's throwing spells at Monk, he's not going to be able to get that last second palm off right when he puts himself in danger, and really use that Relentless Leader to get himself out, palm himself, and then get out of that situation. So I moved him actually down to tier 3. Another person I moved from tier 2 to tier 3 is going to be a Muradin. They changed his dig. So now when you dig, you still take damage. This is going to be important for like lunar poisons and even pyroblast, like really random things that you don't think about you're dodging, but you no longer will dodge. So I do think that this is a big nerf to a noob, and it's gonna take a lot of his core kit out of him and make him weaker than what he was, right? So tier 2 to tier 3. The only other big change from this patch for me is going to be Murky. I moved him all the way down to the lowest of tiers. Changing the Octo thing to cut off or break when you die is really bad for Murky, because a lot of the times you would throw your puffer, Octo grab, and then die, and then your team would kill the person, but the target would still be octoed, so that your team can kind of follow up. Even though you're dead, your team follows up on the Octo grab, kills a person. But now that they changed that, like, it's gonna crush Murky's core kit. I'm really kind of upset about that one. One more that I'm just gonna kind of do right now, because I like the idea of it, is I'm gonna move Dahaka to tier 3. Again, this is just going off of the mount changes. I'm not sure how much it will affect the meta, but it could affect it to the point that this is kind of the right decision. So these are all the changes that I've made for this newest patch. Everything else is the same as the last patch. If you guys have any questions about why I feel certain ways about certain heroes, please let me know in the comments below. Or if you think that somebody else should be somewhere else, throw that idea at me. Give me a reason why, though, just for the sake of discussion. It is important to remember with my tier list, this list is solely for discussion and to help you have a starting point when you're selecting heroes and champion select. So by no means am I saying that this is the holy code, but this is how I feel, and these are my opinions. So thank you guys for your support. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to throw a like and subscribe to my channel. And you can always check me out at Twitch and Twitter, where I'm posting most of my new videos, or streaming and doing content there. So again, guys, cheers. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys next week.